The stars were dying around them. Kala 9 pressed her long, silver fingers against the control panel and watched the red lights blink across the screen. Each light meant another Zephyrian world had gone dark. Each blink meant millions of her people were dead. "How many ships do they have now?" asked Narration 4, her assistant. His blue skin had turned pale with fear. Kala 9 checked the readings. 3,000. Maybe more. They keep building them from our own destroyed cities. The Vex Collective was like a disease that ate everything in its path. They turned planets into ships, ships into weapons, and weapons into more death. They had been moving through Zephyrian space for 6 months now. Nothing could stop them. The Zephyrians had tried to fight back, but they had forgotten how. Their people had not fought wars for over 10,000 years. They had no soldiers, no weapons, no idea how to hurt another living thing. Their greatest achievement was learning to live in peace. Now that peace was killing them, Kala 9 looked at the star charts again. In 3 days, the Vex would reach their homeworld. 20 billion Zephyrians lived there. They would all die unless someone helped them. "There has to be something," she whispered. "Some way to call for help." Narration 4 shook his head. "Who would help us? The Council of Worlds fell apart 50 years ago. Every species is hiding from the Vex now. No one wants to fight them." Kala 9 stared at the ancient computer files. Her people kept records of everything, even old stories and legends. Maybe there was something there. Something forgotten. She typed commands into the system. Old files appeared on her screen. Stories from thousands of years ago. Tales of great wars and brave heroes. Most of it was probably fake. But maybe, there. A file marked Guardian Protocol, Emergency Use Only. She opened it. The text was in Old Galactic, the language that all spacefaring species once used. Kala 9 had studied it in school, but barely remembered it now. "Listen to this," she said, reading slowly. "If your people face destruction and have no power to resist, you may call upon the Guardians of Peace. These warriors travel the void, protecting the innocent from those who would destroy them. Send the ancient signal, and hope they will answer." Narration 4 laughed, but it sounded more like crying. "Guardians of Peace? That's just a story, Kala 9. Something to make children feel safe. Maybe. But what else do we have?" Kala 9 kept reading. The file has technical details. Frequency ranges, signal patterns. Someone spent a lot of time writing this down. She scrolled through pages of data. The instructions were clear. Build a quantum transmitter. Send a specific message. Aim it at coordinates deep in space. The coordinates were for a place called the Guardian Homeworld. "Even if these Guardians were real," Narration 4 said, "they're probably dead now." "This file is thousands of years old." Kala 9 stood up. "Then we'll die trying to reach them. It's better than just waiting for the Vex to kill us." It took 2 days to build the transmitter. Kala 9 and her team worked without stopping, using parts from their research stations and defense satellites. The Vex were only 1 day away from the homeworld now, but the transmitter was almost ready. "The signal is strong," reported Ven 12, their best engineer. "But I'm not sure about the coordinates. The star maps have changed since this was written. I had to guess where this Guardian homeworld might be now." Kala 9 nodded. "Send it anyway. Send it to every coordinate that might be right." She had written the message herself, using the Old Galactic language as best she could remember. "To the Guardians of Peace, wherever you are. We are the Zephyrian people. We have lived in peace for 10,000 years. Now we face an enemy we cannot fight. The Vex Collective destroys everything in their path. They will reach our homeworld in 1 day. 20 billion innocent lives will be lost. We have no weapons, no soldiers, no way to protect ourselves. If you still exist, if you still protect the innocent, please help us. We are at the coordinates attached to this message. Time is running out." "Ready to transmit," said Ven 12. "Send it," Kala 9 ordered. The transmitter hummed. Energy crackled through the quantum coils. The message shot out into space, faster than light, searching for someone who might not exist. Far away, in a small solar system that the Zephyrians had never heard of, the signal reached a blue and green planet. It hit the deep space monitoring station orbiting Earth and set off alarms throughout the building. Dr. Sarah Chen was drinking coffee when the alert came through. She spilled hot liquid all over her desk and ran to the main computer. "What is it?" asked her assistant, Tom Rodriguez. "First contact," Sarah whispered. "It's a message from aliens." The computer was already translating the signal. Sarah read it 3 times before she believed it. "Tom, call the president. Call everyone. We just got a distress call from space." Tom stared at the screen. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. There's an alien species under attack, and they're asking for help." "Why would they ask us for help? We've never even left our own solar system properly." Sarah looked at the message again. Something about it bothered her. The language was old and formal, like someone reading from an ancient book. But the fear in it was real. "I don't think they meant to call us," she said slowly. "I think they were trying to reach someone else. Someone called the Guardians of Peace. Never heard of them. Neither have I. But these aliens seem to think they're warriors who protect innocent people." Tom laughed. "And they got us instead. Earth. The planet that's been fighting wars for its entire history." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The aliens had called for peaceful guardians and reached the most violent planet in the local star cluster instead. They had made a terrible mistake. But as she read about the 20 billion innocent people about to die, she realized something. Maybe it wasn't a mistake at all. Maybe the universe had sent their call to exactly the right place. "Tom," she said, "get me the Navy. Tell them we have a job to do." Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance and stared at the stars ahead. His ship was ugly compared to the sleek vessels shown in science fiction movies. It was all sharp angles and thick armor, built for fighting, not for looking pretty. The other 2 ships in his small fleet, Retribution and Vengeance, were just as brutal in design. "Captain," said Lieutenant Hayes from the communications station, "we're getting close to the alien coordinates. Should I try to make contact?" Marcus nodded. "Open a channel. Let them know we got their message." 3 days ago, Marcus had been running training exercises near Mars. Then Earth Command had called with the strangest mission he'd ever heard. Aliens were under attack and had asked for help. Not just any help, but help from something called the Guardians of Peace. Earth didn't have any Guardians of Peace. What Earth had was the Space Navy. And the Space Navy had Marcus Rodriguez. He was known for 3 things. He never lost a ship, he never left civilians to die, and he had never met a fight he wouldn't take on. "Channel open, sir," reported Hayes. "Alien vessel. This is Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the Earth ship Defiance. We received your distress call. We're here to help." The response came quickly. The voice was soft and musical, but Marcus could hear the fear in it. "Earthship? We do not understand. We sent our call to the Guardians of Peace. Are you their representatives?" Marcus looked at his crew. Most of them were former Marines, covered in scars from Earth's various wars. They carried weapons, even on the ship. Their uniforms were practical military gray, not the flowing robes of peaceful guardians. "Negative. Alien vessel. We're humans from Earth. We got your message by accident, looks like. But we're here anyway." There was a long pause. Then, "Humans? We have never heard of your species. Our records show no trace of Earth or humans." "That's because we're new to this whole space thing," Marcus said. "But we know how to fight, and we know how to protect innocent people. That's what matters right now." Another pause. "You do not understand. We called for the Guardians of Peace. They are legendary protectors, wise and benevolent. You are the wrong species." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "Lady, we might be the wrong species, but we're the only species that showed up. Your message said 20 billion people are about to die. Do you want our help or not?" The alien voice sounded close to tears. The Vex will be here in 12 hours. They have 3,000 warships. How many do you have? 3. 3? Only 3 ships? That's all Earth could spare on short notice. But trust me, there'll be enough. Marcus could hear arguing in the background on the alien channel. Finally, the voice returned. I am Kala 9, Chief Science Officer of the Zephyrian people. Captain Rodriguez, you should leave now while you can. The Vex Collective cannot be fought with only 3 ships. They will destroy you. Kala 9, I'm going to explain something to you, Marcus said. My species has been fighting wars for thousands of years. We're very, very good at it. When someone threatens innocent people, we don't run away. We fight. But you do not understand what the Vex are like. They feel no fear, no mercy, no emotion at all. They are machines of pure logic. They calculate the most efficient way to kill, and then do it. Marcus smiled grimly. Then they've never fought humans before. We don't do logical. We do crazy. An hour later, 3 human ships entered the Zephyrian home system. Kala 9 watched them approach on her screen and felt her heart sink. The ships looked like weapons with engines attached. Every surface bristled with guns, missile launchers, and things she couldn't even identify. The humans had agreed to meet face-to-face on the Zephyrian flagship. When the airlock opened and Captain Rodriguez stepped through, Kala 9 gasped. He was shorter than a Zephyrian, with dark skin and gray hair. Scars crossed his face and arms. He wore military clothes covered in patches and insignia that meant nothing to her. But what shocked her most was his eyes. They held no fear, only a cold determination that made her shiver. Behind him came 6 more humans. They all looked like soldiers. They carried weapons and moved like predators ready to pounce. Captain Rodriguez, Kala 9 said carefully. Welcome to our ship. Thank you, Marcus replied. Now show me what we're up against. They went to the command center. The Zephyrians there stared at the humans with wide eyes. Some backed away when the soldiers looked at them. The Vex fleet is here, Kala 9 said, pointing at the main screen. They will arrive in 11 hours. Marcus studied the display. 3,000 enemy ships, all identical, moving in perfect formation. Each ship was twice the size of his largest vessel. What kind of weapons do they have? He asked. Energy cannons, quantum torpedoes, shield disruptors. Each ship can destroy a city. And what weapons do you have? Kala 9 looked embarrassed. We have no weapons, Captain. We are a peaceful people. We have not fought a war in 10,000 years. One of Marcus's officers laughed. 10,000 years of peace? How did you defend yourselves? We didn't need to, said Narration 4. All the species in our sector were peaceful too. We solved problems with words, not violence. The humans exchanged looks. Marcus could see what they were thinking. How could any species survive for thousands of years without fighting? These Vex, Marcus said, have they ever been defeated? Never, Kala 9 admitted. They have conquered 47 star systems. No one has ever stopped them. Good, Marcus said. Good? They've never lost, which means they've never learned how to handle defeat. They've never faced an enemy that fights back hard. That gives us an advantage. Captain, said another Zephyrian, you have 3 ships against 3,000. How is that an advantage? Marcus looked at her with those cold, determined eyes. Because they're expecting logical resistance. They're expecting people who fight fair and follow the rules of war. They're not expecting humans. He turned to his officers. Get back to the ships. Tell everyone to prepare for combat. Load everything we have. Bullets, missiles, nuclear warheads, everything. Nuclear weapons? Kala 9 gasped. Those are banned by galactic law. We're not from the galaxy, remember? We're from Earth. And on Earth, the only law that matters in a fight is the law of survival. As the humans prepared to leave, Kala 9 grabbed Marcus's arm. Captain, please reconsider. You will all die fighting the Vex. Your sacrifice will change nothing. Marcus looked down at her hand. then at her face. Maybe we will die. But those 20 billion innocent people you mentioned? They're not going to die on my watch. That's not how humans work. He pulled his arm free gently. You called for the wrong species, Kala 9. Lucky for you. We're exactly the wrong species for anyone who threatens innocent people. As the humans left, Kala 9 felt something she had never experienced before. She didn't know what to call it, but it felt like hope mixed with terror. These humans were nothing like the peaceful guardians she had hoped for. They were something far more dangerous. They were something that fought back. The Vex Collective arrived exactly on schedule. Their 3,000 ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, arranged in geometric patterns that would allow maximum efficiency of destruction. Each ship was identical, following the same programming, executing the same battle plan that had worked 47 times before. Vex Command Node 1 calculated the optimal attack pattern. The Zephyrian homeworld had minimal defenses. Total conquest time: 4.7 hours. Acceptable losses: 0. Then the sensors detected something unexpected. 3 unknown vessels hiding in the asteroid belt. Small ships, primitive design, no match for Vex technology. Unknown vessels, transmitted Vex Command Node, 1-inch perfect galactic standard. You are interfering with collective operations. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The response came back in a language the Vex had never heard before. Rough and full of strange sounds. Vex Command. This is Captain Rodriguez of the human fleet. You have exactly 30 seconds to turn around and leave this system. This is your only warning. Vex Command Node 1 processed this information. 3 primitive ships against 3,000 advanced warships. The mathematical certainty of victory was absolute. The unknown species was clearly suffering from logical malfunction. Unknown species. Your resistance is calculated at 0.0003% chance of success. Surrender now, and your destruction will be efficient. Another voice joined the human transmission, female and laughing. Vex Command. This is Captain Santos of the Vengeance. You want efficient? We'll show you efficient. A third voice. This is Captain Williams of the Retribution. We've got something for you too. Vex Command Node 1 began the attack sequence. The nearest 100 ships moved forward to eliminate the 3 human vessels quickly. That was when everything went wrong. The humans didn't retreat. They didn't try to fight the 100 ships in open battle. Instead, they did something no logical species would ever attempt. They split up. Defiance dove into the asteroid belt, weaving between rocks at speeds that should have been impossible. Vengeance flew straight at the Vex formation, but then suddenly stopped and began spinning like a drill. Retribution disappeared completely behind a gas giant. The 100 Vex ships followed their programming. They pursued the targets with optimal efficiency. 50 ships chased Defiance into the asteroids. 25 moved to intercept the spinning Vengeance. 25 more headed for the gas giant, where Retribution had vanished. Defiance led its pursuers deeper into the asteroid field. Captain Rodriguez pushed his ship through gaps that were barely wide enough, scraping armor against rocks, using gravitational fields to slingshot around the largest asteroids. The Vex ships followed in perfect formation, calculating optimal flight paths. Then Rodriguez did something that made no mathematical sense. He fired his engines in reverse and crashed his ship into a large asteroid. The Vex ships, following their programming, moved to investigate the wreckage. That was when they discovered that the asteroid wasn't really an asteroid. It was a mine, one of dozens that the humans had been secretly placing while the Vex fleet approached. The explosion destroyed 15 Vex ships instantly and sent debris flying into the paths of the others. Surprise, came Rodriguez's voice over the radio. His ship emerged from behind another asteroid, perfectly intact. He had faked the crash. Meanwhile, Captain Santos of the Vengeance was dealing with her own pursuers. The spinning maneuver had confused the Vex targeting systems, but now they were adapting. Santos waited until they were close enough to be sure of hitting her ship. Then she did something that would have gotten her court-martialed in any normal military. She opened her cargo bay and ejected everything inside. Tools, spare parts, food supplies, furniture, even the ship's garbage. 25 tons of random objects flew toward the Vex ships at high speed. The Vex point defense systems were designed to stop missiles and torpedoes, not flying toilets and coffee machines. Half the debris got through their defenses and struck their hulls. No real damage, but enough to disrupt their tight formation. While they were dealing with the garbage, Santos launched her real attack. Not energy weapons or missiles, but something the Vex had never encountered. Kinetic harpoons. Simple metal spears fired at tremendous speed. They punched through Vex shields like they weren't even there. Rule number 1 of human combat, Santos announced as she reeled in 3 Vex ships with her harpoon cables. Never assume we'll fight fair. Captain Williams and the Retribution were playing a different game entirely. His ship had disappeared behind the gas giant, and the Vex ships searching for him found nothing but empty space. Their sensors detected no ship, no energy signature, nothing. That was because Williams had done something insane. He had landed his ship on one of the gas giant's moons and shut down everything except life support. In the shadow of the moon, Retribution was invisible to Vex sensors. The 25 Vex ships spread out to search the area. Williams waited until they were scattered across the moon's orbit. Then he powered up his ship and launched everything he had at once. Not at the ships, but at the moon itself. The nuclear missiles struck the small moon and cracked it open like an egg. Gravity did the rest. The moon came apart in slow motion, sending millions of tons of rock flying in all directions. The scattered Vex ships found themselves in the middle of a debris storm they couldn't escape. Sometimes, Williams said as he watched 12 Vex ships get smashed by flying boulders. The best weapon is good old-fashioned gravity. Back in the main system, Vex Command Node 1 was experiencing something it had never felt before. Confusion. Its advance force of 100 ships had been reduced to 60. The 3 human ships were not only still alive, they were actively hunting Vex vessels. This was not how conquests were supposed to work. The humans were using tactics that made no logical sense. They crashed their own ships, threw garbage at enemy vessels, and destroyed moons to create weapons. They turned everything into a weapon. Asteroids, debris, even gravity itself. Worse, they were having fun doing it. "Hey Vex Command," came Captain Rodriguez's voice. "How's that 0.0003% chance working out for you?" Vex Command Node 1 recalculated. The humans were using unpredictable tactics, adapting faster than Vex computers could compensate. Each human ship fought differently, making it impossible to predict their next move. For the first time in collective history, Node 1 requested additional data from the Central Command Network. How did one fight an enemy that refused to follow logical patterns? The response came back quickly. Unknown. No data available. Situation outside normal parameters. Meanwhile, on the Zephyrian flagship, Kala 9 watched the battle in amazement. Her people had no concept of military strategy, but even they could see that something extraordinary was happening. 3 human ships were not just surviving against overwhelming odds, they were winning. "How are they doing this?" asked Naren 4. "I don't know," Kala 9 whispered. "They fight like chaos given purpose." Dr. Sarah Chen, the human scientist who had first received their distress call, was working frantically at a computer terminal. She had remained aboard the Zephyrian ship to coordinate between the 2 species. "Your technology," she said to Kala 9. "It's incredibly advanced. Your medical nanites, your energy systems, your computers. They're centuries ahead of ours." "But you said you came to help us fight," Kala 9 replied. "We came to help you fight, yes, but we didn't come to fight fair." Sarah's fingers flew over the keyboard. "What if we combined your technology with our tactics? Your healing nanites with our weapons targeting? Your energy systems with our complete lack of common sense?" Kala 9 stared at the screen as data flowed across it. "You want to turn our medical technology into weapons? I want to turn your medical technology into the most unfair weapons the galaxy has ever seen." 20 minutes later, the real battle began. The human ships, now equipped with modified Zephyrian technology, stopped playing hide-and-seek with the Vex fleet. They flew directly toward the 3,000 enemy ships in a straight line. The Vex prepared to destroy them with overwhelming firepower. 3 ships against 3,000. The mathematics were simple. The mathematics were wrong. The humans had turned Zephyrian healing nanites into a virus that attacked metal instead of flesh. They had modified Zephyrian energy shields to reflect damage back at attackers. They had combined human tactics with alien technology to create something entirely new, something terrifying. As the first wave of Vex ships opened fire, their energy beams bounced off the human shields and struck their own vessels. The nanites, delivered by human missiles, began eating through Vex hulls like acid through paper. Vex weapons designed to destroy planets couldn't even scratch the modified human shields. For the first time in its existence, Vex Command Node 1 felt something it had no word for: fear. The Vex Collective had lost 500 ships. In 3,000 years of conquest, they had never lost more than a dozen vessels in any single battle. Their algorithms were failing. Their perfect strategies were worthless against an enemy that fought with controlled madness. Vex Command Node 1 made a decision that went against all collective programming. It called for reinforcements. More ships began arriving from nearby systems. The Vex fleet grew to 5,000 ships, then 6,000. "Captain Rodriguez," came Kala 9's voice over the radio. "They're bringing more ships. You have to retreat now while you still can." Rodriguez was breathing hard. The Defiance had taken damage in the last attack. 2 of his crew were injured, and his ship's armor was cracked in a dozen places. But he wasn't giving up. "No retreat, Kala 9. We came here to do a job, and we're going to finish it. You cannot fight 6,000 ships. Watch us." But even as he said it, Rodriguez knew the truth. The humans were running out of tricks. Their modified weapons were working, but the Vex were adapting. Soon the enemy would figure out how to counter the nanite virus and the reflected energy shields. Dr. Sarah Chen contacted him from the Zephyrian flagship. "Marcus, I've been working with their scientists. We think we can create a gravity trap powerful enough to destroy the entire Vex fleet." "What's the catch?" "The trap has to be triggered from inside the enemy formation. Someone needs to fly into the middle of 6,000 ships and activate it manually." Rodriguez understood immediately. It was a suicide mission. Whoever flew into that formation wouldn't be coming back. "How long do you need to set it up?" 2 hours to convert the planetary defense grid into a gravity generator. "You've got it." Rodriguez switched to fleet communications. "Vengeance, retribution. This is Defiance. We're going to try something new. Something stupid." Captain Santos laughed over the radio. "Stupid is our specialty, sir. We're going to lure the entire Vex fleet into a trap. But someone has to stay behind to trigger it. Someone has to fly into the middle of all those ships and not come out." The radio was quiet for a moment. Then Captain Williams spoke up. "I'll do it, sir. Retribution's taken the most damage anyway. Thanks for watching." There are Armaning." "No," said Santos. "Vengeance is faster. I can get deeper into their formation before they stop me." "Both of you shut up," Rodriguez said firmly. "This is my mission. My responsibility. Defiance will trigger the trap." For the next 2 hours, the 3 human ships played cat and mouse with 6,000 Vex vessels. They led the enemy fleet away from the Zephyrian homeworld, while the planetary defense grid was modified. The humans used every trick they could think of. They hid behind moons, used asteroid fields for cover, and even flew through the coronas of stars to escape pursuit. But they were getting tired. Human reflexes, no matter how good, couldn't stay sharp forever. The Vex, controlled by computers, never got tired, never made mistakes, never stopped coming. Finally, Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the radio. "Gravity trap is ready. Lure them back to the coordinates I'm sending you." The 3 human ships began their final run. They flew straight toward the Zephyrian homeworld, broadcasting on all frequencies, pretending to be damaged, and retreating. The Vex fleet followed, eager to finish off the troublesome humans once and for all. As they approached the trap coordinates, Rodriguez opened a channel to his crew. "All hands. This is the captain. We knew this might be a one-way trip when we left Earth, I want you to know, it's been an honor serving with you. His crew didn't argue. They had volunteered for this mission knowing the risks. Each of them had looked at that distress message and decided that 20 billion innocent lives were worth their own. "Captain," said his weapons officer, "should we record final messages?" "Already being broadcast," Rodriguez replied. "Everything we say is going out on all channels. Let the galaxy know what humans are willing to do for strangers." End quote. End quote. The Vex fleet was almost in position. 6,000 ships arranged in a perfect sphere around the trap coordinates. Rodriguez pushed Defiance's engines to maximum and dove into the center of the formation. The Vex opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams lit up space like lightning. Defiance's shields held, but barely. The ship shook as explosions bloomed around it. Rodriguez's voice came over the radio, calm and steady despite the chaos. "This is Captain Marcus Rodriguez, of Earth. If anyone out there is listening, remember this. Humans don't fight for glory or conquest. We fight for people who can't fight for themselves. We fight because it's right." Defiance pushed deeper into the Vex formation. The ship was burning now, hull breaches venting atmosphere into space. But Rodriguez kept flying, kept broadcasting. The Zephyrians asked for the wrong species when they called for help. They wanted peaceful guardians. They got us instead. Violent, stubborn, crazy humans who don't know when to quit. A massive explosion rocked the ship. Half the bridge controls went dark. "But maybe," Rodriguez continued, his voice growing fainter, "maybe we were exactly the right species after all. Maybe the galaxy needs someone willing to pay the price for peace." He reached for the gravity trap controls. "Sarah, is the trap ready?" "Ready, Marcus," came Dr. Chen's voice, thick with tears. "Good. Tell the Zephyrians they were wrong about one thing. They said we were the wrong species to call for help. But we're exactly the right species to answer that call." Rodriguez activated the trap. Space twisted. Gravity wells erupted throughout the Vex formation, pulling ships in all directions. The perfect geometric patterns of the fleet collapsed as vessels were dragged into crushing gravitational fields. Ships the size of cities were compressed into balls of metal smaller than marbles. The trap worked perfectly. 5,000 Vex ships were destroyed in 30 seconds. The remaining 1,000, damaged and scattered, fled into hyperspace without looking back. But Defiance was gone. The gravity trap had consumed everything at the center of the formation, including the ship that triggered it. Rodriguez's final transmission echoed across the system. "The Zephyrians are safe. Mission accomplished." On the Zephyrian flagship, Kala 9 stared at the empty space where Defiance had been. Her people were celebrating around her. They had been saved. 20 billion lives had been preserved. But all she could think about were the humans who had died to protect strangers they had never met. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did they do it?" Dr. Sarah Chen, tears streaming down her face, answered without looking away from the empty space. "Because that's what humans do. We answer the call, even when it's not meant for us." The surviving human ships, Vengeance and Retribution, limped back toward Earth. They had lost many crew members, not just from Defiance but from the entire battle. Captain Santos tried to count the cost. 238 humans dead, defending people they had never seen. But as she looked at the readings from the Zephyrian homeworld, 20 billion life signs, all safe, she knew it had been worth it. The Vex, for their part, had learned something new. For the first time in their history, they marked a system as unacceptable loss risk. In their vast databases, they added a new entry: species, human, origin, Earth, classification, unknown, threat assessment, maximum, recommendation, avoid all contact. Do not engage under any circumstances. The humans had been the wrong species to answer the Zephyrians' call for help. They had also been exactly the right species to save them. 6 months after the battle, Kala 9 stood in the memorial garden on the Zephyrian homeworld. The garden was something new for her people. a place dedicated to remembering war and death instead of celebrating peace and life. But it felt right. Important. In the center of the garden stood a simple stone monument. Carved into its surface were 238 names, every human who had died defending Zephyria. At the top, in letters that seemed to glow in the afternoon light, were the words Marcus Rodriguez had spoken before he triggered the gravity trap. They were exactly the right species to answer that call. Dr. Sarah Chen knelt beside the memorial, placing a small earth flower at its base. She had stayed on Zephyria after the battle, working with local scientists to understand what had happened. More importantly, she was trying to figure out what would happen next. "The flowers are beautiful," said Kala 9, approaching quietly. "What are they called?" "Roses," Sarah replied, standing up. "They grow wild on Earth. Beautiful, but covered in thorns." Marcus would have liked that comparison. They stood together in comfortable silence. Around them, other Zephyrians moved through the garden quietly. Many had never seen war memorials before, but they understood the importance of this place. People had died here. Strangers had died for them. "I've been thinking about our first conversation," Kala 9 said finally. "When you responded to our distress call, I told Captain Rodriguez that you were the wrong species." "You were right," Sarah said. "We were the wrong species. You called for peaceful guardians, and you got us instead. Violent, unpredictable humans. But Marcus said we were wrong about something else. That you were exactly the right species to answer our call." Sarah smiled sadly. Marcus always was too smart for his own good. A Zephyrian child ran past them, chasing a butterfly through the garden. Her parents followed slowly, keeping watch, but letting her explore. Before the war, Zephyrian children had never needed to be watched so carefully. Their world had been perfectly safe. Now they knew that safety was something that had to be protected. "Dr. Chen," said Kala 9, "my people have made a decision. We want to propose a formal alliance with Earth." Sarah looked surprised. "An alliance? What kind of alliance?" "A partnership. We have technology, knowledge, peaceful wisdom accumulated over thousands of years. You have." She paused, searching for the right words. "The ability to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Sarah understood immediately. "You want us to be your military. Not just ours, anyone's who needs it. The galaxy is full of peaceful species like us. Species who gave up violence long ago and now have no defense against threats like the Vex. And you think humans would be willing to fight for strangers?" Kala 9 gestured to the memorial. "You already have." That evening, Sarah sent a long message back to Earth. She described the Zephyrian proposal in detail. A new kind of alliance, where advanced alien technology would be shared with humanity in exchange for protection services. Not conquest or empire building, but genuine protection for those who needed it. The response from Earth came back surprisingly quickly. The World Council had been debating what to do about humanity's new role in galactic affairs ever since the first news reports about the battle. Some wanted to isolate Earth, to avoid getting involved in alien wars. Others wanted to exploit their victory for political gain. But the majority, led by people who had known Marcus Rodriguez personally, voted for something different. "Earth accepts the alliance," read the message from President Martinez. "But with conditions. We choose which fights to take. We don't become galactic police, but we will answer calls for help from innocent people. We will be the wrong species that other species call when they need the right kind of help." Over the following year, the partnership grew stronger. Human technology advanced rapidly, with access to Zephyrian science. Zephyrian society learned to appreciate the necessity of defensive thinking, though they never became warriors themselves. The first test of the new alliance came when another peaceful species, the Harmonians, sent a distress call. Pirates were raiding their trade routes, and their non-violent philosophy left them defenseless. This time, humans answered the call on purpose. Captain Maria Santos, who had taken over the human space fleet after Rodriguez's death, arrived in the Harmonian system with 12 ships. 12 ugly, brutal, powerful ships that looked like they had been built for war. "Harmonian Fleet Command," she transmitted. This is Captain Santos of the human vessel. Perseverance. We received your call for assistance. Captain Santos. Came the musical harmonian reply. We are grateful for your response. But we must warn you. These pirates are vicious and well-armed. Perhaps you should call for reinforcements before engaging them. Santos looked around her bridge. Her crew was a mix of Earth veterans and young volunteers who had signed up after hearing about the Zephyrian battle. All of them were ready for a fight. Harmonian command, we appreciate the warning, but you called the wrong species for backup. We're humans. We don't call for reinforcements. We are the reinforcements. The pirate fleet consisted of 40 stolen military vessels, commanded by a species called the Ravagers, who had been terrorizing peaceful systems for decades. They were experienced fighters, used to easy victories against defenseless targets. They had never fought humans before. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, the entire pirate fleet was either destroyed or surrendering. The humans had not lost a single ship. Impossible, transmitted the pirate commander from his damaged flagship. How did 12 ships defeat 40? What kind of species are you? We're humans, Santos replied. We're the species that other species call when they need something impossible done. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. There was a new force in space. Humans from Earth, who fought for anyone who couldn't fight for themselves. They didn't conquer or demand tribute. They just answered calls for help and then went home. Some species were grateful, others were afraid. A few tried to test human resolve by attacking innocent systems. Thinking the humans were too few to protect everyone, they learned otherwise. Within 2 years, human ships patrolled trade routes from one side of the galaxy to the other. They were always outnumbered, always fighting superior technology, and they always found a way to win. Back on Zephyria, the memorial garden had grown. New stones were added regularly, bearing the names of humans who had died protecting strangers. Each stone carried the same inscription: the wrong species with the right heart. Colin visited the memorial every week. Sometimes, she brought visiting diplomats who wanted to understand the human-Zephyrian alliance. She always told them the same story. My people called for help from legendary guardians we had never met. Instead, we reached a violent species from a distant world. They came anyway. They fought anyway. They died anyway. Not because they had to, but because it was right. She would pause by the central monument, by Marcus Rodriguez's name. We thought we were calling the wrong species. We were wrong about being wrong. The galaxy needed guardians who would fight for strangers, and that's exactly what we got. On Earth, in a small cemetery in Texas, another memorial stood. It was simpler than the one on Zephyria. Just a headstone, with Marcus Rodriguez's name and a simple inscription. He answered the call. Quote, his sister visited every year on the anniversary of the battle. This year, she brought her young son. The boy was 7 years old and full of questions. Mama, why did Uncle Marcus go fight aliens he never met? She knelt down beside him, looking at the headstone. Because someone needed help, sweetie. And when someone needs help, that's what humans do. We help, even if they called the wrong species? She smiled. Especially if they called the wrong species. Sometimes being wrong is exactly right. Above them, ships left Earth's orbital stations bound for distant stars. In their cargo, holds were supplies for refugee camps, medical equipment for plague-stricken worlds, and weapons for species that had forgotten how to defend themselves. The ships were crewed by volunteers who had read about the Zephyrian battle and decided they wanted to be part of something larger than themselves. They knew they might not come back. They went anyway, because that's what humans do. They answer the call, even when it's meant for someone else. Especially when it's meant for someone else. In the deepest reaches of space, automated VEX monitoring stations detected the expanding human presence. The signals were forwarded to VEX High Command, where ancient computers processed the information and reached a unanimous conclusion: avoid all systems with human presence. Species classification: unpredictable. Threat level: undefined. Recommended action: none. Do not engage under any circumstances. The VEX Collective, conquerors of 47 star systems, had learned to fear a single word: human. And across the galaxy, whenever peaceful species faced threats they couldn't handle alone, they sent the same kind of message the Zephyrians had broadcast years before. A call for help addressed to guardians they had never met, protectors they could only hope existed. The difference was that now, they knew someone would answer. Someone would always answer, even if it was the wrong species. Especially if it was the wrong species.